following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln and online at merealty.com. It is 4:02 p.m., time for the 4 p.m. 411 here on WLCN 96.3 FM. My name is Loyd Kirby. I am the marketing manager here at WLCN. And for the next half hour, as we do most Tuesdays, we will be talking with someone in the news or holds a position of importance and prominence in the community in the area, or in this case, I suppose it would be both, as Mayor Tracy Welch is with us again. Yeah. Thank you for joining us, for juggling your schedule.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure, yeah, and programming note, next week on the 4 p.m. 411, we'll have representatives from the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice talking about the Monarch Center and kind of providing an update on that. But as I mentioned, Mayor Welch was kind enough to rearrange his schedule and come in today rather than the first Tuesday of the month. So what's been going on?
Tourism.
Tourism. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most people are aware, somewhat at least, the existence of the Logan County Tourism Bureau. And I guess it all kind of, the discussion began, or the wheels began, when there was talk about the funding for tourism. Is that correct? Or
well,
did it go back?
We had actually already passed a funding agreement with tourism, as we have in years past, and there was some staff members that had left at the Tourism Bureau. There was an audit that was done, and it was done by an independent auditor that they had brought in. And when some of us had seen the results of that audit and review, we just started asking some questions about, how much money does it take to run the Bureau? And are we getting a return on the investment of the amount of money we're spent? And things of that nature. And so it just kind of, one thing led to another, and we ultimately ended up, the council chose to move, at least by a majority of the vote. Actually, it was a tie, and I broke the tie, to rescind the funding for the Logan County Tourism Bureau to stand up a City of Lincoln Tourism Department.
And that would be a separate entity from Logan County Tourism, assuming the Logan County Tourism Bureau continues to exist.
It will, and that's a good point, is that we have had multiple conversations with the Bureau, and they do serve the outlying communities, and so that's something that's very important. And we've made proposals that would make that a possibility for them to continue to operate, still working through some of the details and conversations about that.
And so the Tourism Bureau, of course, located in the old depot there on Chicago Street, I guess. Yes. It is. Yep. And so the City of Lincoln owns that building, is that correct?
Yeah, the city does.
Okay. And I think I saw on the video of one of the, or maybe I read it in the Lincoln Daily News, that one of the suggestions I think that maybe you had was looking at the rent that tourism pays the city, and if the City of Lincoln doesn't provide funding for the Tourism Bureau, that decreasing or eliminating that rent would be a way to bring their costs down and support the Bureau in that way.
Yeah, that has been a proposal. As it stands right now, I don't know that the Bureau, if it continues to exist, will operate out of the depot. There seems to be a sentiment of that they could operate out of the mill. But regardless, there's a lot of things that got to be worked out, but the proposal, and it would still have to be approved by the council, would be that in the city-owned facility, not charging them rent, so that they could continue to operate the Bureau and make that cost-effective for them.
And so as far as the city contributing funding to the Tourism Bureau, is Lincoln the only town, city, municipality that contributes funding to the Bureau, as far as you know?
We're the only municipality that spends hotel motel tax in the Bureau. They do get a grant each year that is just for CVBs and conventions. I think it's Conventions and Visitors Bureau. Mm-hmm. So they do get an annual grant. And then, like recently this year, they got a Route 66 grant. But that annual grant is additional funding that they've received.
And speaking of Route 66, why is this, or why do you feel this is important for Lincoln to have a tourism bureau?
Well, I think that it's important for Lincoln or Logan County to promote all the assets that we have. And to be very clear, I know that those individuals that have worked there and are on that board, they have a vision as to what that means and how to be successful. I think there's a difference of opinion in some respects, and I think that there are some that believe that now might be a good opportunity to take a little bit of a shift in the traditional programming and try some new, more creative programming to boost our tourism program here. And that's really what's driving it. At the end of the day, we just want a thriving, successful tourism program that helps our community, it helps the outlying communities, and that's what's driving it.
Sure. Once again, our guest is Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch, 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions or comments. Also, you can email your questions or comments, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. So if Lincoln is the only entity putting money into the Tourism Bureau other than the grant funding, then and maybe you can't answer this, how would the Tourism Bureau for the county continue to exist? Would they just simply do what they do on a much smaller scale? Would outlying communities be asked to contribute somehow, or what would that what would that model look like?
Well, those are a lot of the questions that we're still trying to work through. It's still pretty new. The first step was for the council to decide if they wanted to retain the funding and at least try to stand up something on our side. I think the answer to that is yes, by vote. And so now the next step is, what does that look like for the Tourism Bureau? So in an attempt to be amicable, a suggestion was put out there that the city could perhaps contribute $25,000 to the program, because to maintain the CVB status, they have to have a match from a hotel motel tax source.
I see.
And so by us contributing the $25,000, we help them meet that requirement to keep the CVB. But in the same breath, we would like our partners across the street at the county to come to the table and be a partner as a contributor as well. So I know that I spoke with at least a couple of the county board members. I don't know where they're at on this topic. There's still conversations to be had on
Sure.
it, but that's really what it is. It's an attempt to continue to form our partnership. We've talked a lot about this in the past months,
Right.
about working better together. This is just another opportunity to do that.
And so as it stands right now, Logan County does not contribute to the county tourism bureau, is that correct?
They do not.
Okay. So the city funds it through hotel motel tax, grant funding, and I mean, I guess, I don't know, they might get donations or something along the way somehow, but I guess that wouldn't really be a part
Well,
of their
they also, they sell some stuff out of the mill. So I think there's several $1,000s a year they make in selling passport books and Route 66 memorabilia and things of that nature. So it's a small revenue stream. But yeah, the city of Lincoln, the hotel motel tax that we generate in the city of Lincoln, it is, with the exception of 5% that the city keeps, 95% of that is going to the Bureau. And one of the things that really caught the attention of some of us after the review was that of the roughly $170,000 we give them, according to the report we received, about 75% of that goes just to salaries, right? That's before we even get to the business of doing tourism and marketing and stuff.
Right.
So that played into some of the discussions and the decisions that were made about that. So.
Okay. Once again, our guest is Mayor Tracy Welch, the mayor of Lincoln. 217-648-5510, the number to call. If you have questions or comments on tourism or on any topic relevant to the city of Lincoln. Don't forget to tune in to Viewpoint tomorrow. Dara and Twistle will have representatives from the Market on the Hill from Mount Pulaski in the studio. That show, of course, is 8 a.m. to 8:30 right here on WLCN and streamed online at WLCNonline.com. But we will be back in 2 minutes with Mayor Welch and more about the city of Lincoln.
Culver's is a family restaurant. To me, that means being the place that puts a smile on everyone's face. We're famous for our cooked-to-order butter burgers and frozen custard made daily inside our restaurants. But we've always believed more menu options mean more ways to brighten your day. We source the finest chicken to bring you our tenders and chicken sandwiches. And our cheese curds. They're a Wisconsin tradition we're proud to share with you. So take the next meal shift off and let us take care of you. Welcome to Delicious.
Culver's, home of the Butterburger, 2530 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center makes an impact locally and beyond through a wide range of events, ministries, and outreaches. Pastors Steve and Debbie Owens invite you to worship Sunday mornings at 10:30 and attend Wednesday night Bible studies at 6:30. Connect with FGEC online, follow them on Facebook, download their app, and visit their new website at myfgec.org with live YouTube video streams as well as recordings of services and special events. Full Gospel Evangelistic Center, 304 North McLean Street in Lincoln. Whether you're buying or selling your home, the brokers of Me Realty will work with you to get the deal done. As one of Central Illinois' top producing offices for decades, Me Realty has the experience to guide you through the process. You want results? Call the brokers of Me Realty at 217-735-5424, stop by the office at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, or check out local listings online at merealty.com. And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411 with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. He will be here for the next 20, not quite 20 minutes. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions, or you can email your questions or comments, 4 p.m. 411 at WLCNonline.com. We were talking before the break about the ongoing discussion about the future of the Logan County Tourism Bureau. I was just made a list here before we went on the air. In terms of tourism and in terms of publicizing Lincoln, there's actually been several different organizations that have in one way or another done that, not necessarily tourism, but of course we have the Lead organization, which is primarily trying to drive businesses and attract new businesses. The Tourism Bureau, if you go back a few years, the Chamber of Commerce was in existence. There was even the Main Street Lincoln organization that existed for a while, and then currently is the Downtown Business Association, all looking to publicize what Lincoln has and what Lincoln has to offer, maybe in slightly different audiences. But what do you think is then the next step? Because I know the county board you mentioned is discussing things. The city council has discussed it. There's a county tourism board, which obviously has a say in what's going to happen. How do you kind of see the path forward here?
With tourism?
Right. Mm-hmm. Or what will happen next to determine the Logan County tourism, determine its fate, I guess, so to speak.
Well, I think that's going to be up to the Logan County Tourism Board to decide their fate, and we want to work with them as we work through the details, but want to be very clear that it's their decision, it's not the city's.
Right.
On our side, one of the things that we'll be doing, and I've talked about this, is that would like to bring a consultant in, and it happens to also be the same consultant that is having a lot of success up in Atlanta, and was a contributor in some ways with the Pontiac program. And so I think to get us going and moving in the right direction, bringing that consultant in is the right step. I think they've got a lot of great ideas that will make us unique and put us on the map already more than we are. So that's what we need to do at the city. There's some decisions we're going to have to make as far as a contract with that individual, funding amounts for the Logan County Tourism Bureau. Another thing is the buildings and the assets that is owned by the Logan County Tourism Bureau. They'll have to work through and decide what to do with those assets. The city certainly wants to work with them and be a partner to make sure that those things continue to be owned and stay local and part of our program. So a lot of things that we got to work through still. We've been talking for weeks, but it's still pretty early.
Yeah, and you mentioned the city of Pontiac, obviously on the Route 66 corridor, and I know you mentioned it. I was watching the video of one of the city council meetings. I can't remember if it was the formal meeting or the council of the whole or committee of the whole, but you mentioned visiting Pontiac, but it sounded like you had a lot of, they made a really strong impression on you and didn't want to, you gave some of the information in the meeting, but sounded like there was more you could have said or wanted to say about that. Can you kind of tell us what's going on in Pontiac for people who may not be aware of it here in Lincoln?
Yeah, so Pontiac runs a city-ran tourism bureau. Okay. And so they're not a CVB, but they do run tourism through the city. And so I wanted to see what that looked like. So I went up and I took some time off work and I went and spent an afternoon up there with them. And it was eye-opening, really, to see the success they've had, how creative that they've been, how a lot of that stuff is ran by volunteers. It's ran by city employees. I talked about with them about funding and how they fund that, how they use their hotel motel tax. So yeah, and their program, I went over to the War Museum, which happens to be in their old City Hall building, and they have a lot of very unique programs in there. But I'll tell you, one of the things that was really cool was that our stuff was in that museum. So they actually have a piece of the mill hanging on a wall in there. The tropics, there's memorabilia from the tropics.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of stuff in there, though. The wagon, you see all of that stuff painted on walls, in programs and flyers, and it's really them doing a great job of not just marketing themselves, but partnering and marketing other attractions. So very eye-opening. I would encourage people to go up there and spend a few hours and look around.
Yeah, and we had the gentleman from Atlanta Tourism who used to work with that there in Pontiac on the viewpoint, I don't know, a few months ago, and he mentioned how those, I think pretty much all of those things that you mentioned are actually not on Route 66. They're actually a couple miles into town, and how they had to not only market the Route 66 aspect, but also, hey, come into town here a couple miles and see these things. So it was, a couple things going on there, which I guess really would not be unlike, well, I guess Route 66, the business Route 66, does run through the downtown area down, is it Kickapoo? And then
on ours?
Right.
Yeah, they're down Kickapoo Street onto Broadway. Yeah. So right there on the corner where the barber shop is, Flossie and Delzina's, right there.
Yeah. So, so that's been one of the, I guess I would say one of the desires I've heard from different people is let's draw people into town, and not only just draw them in there to snap a picture of the courthouse or whatever, but actually get them to stop and have things for them to do and get out and see. And obviously the downtown retailers are doing a great job of sprucing up downtown and making it inviting and attracting customers and tourists and so forth. But we want more of that, I guess, is the end result.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And we have the Route 66 Centennial coming up next year, and we're behind on that. We just really are, and that is not the Bureau's fault. The city stood up a commission, and so we could have done a better job of pushing this as well. But regardless of how we got here, it's crunch time, and we've got to do something to take advantage and leverage that opportunity of all of those people coming down Route 66 right through our downtown. we want them to spend an afternoon. We ultimately want them to stay in Lincoln,
Sure.
spend the night, because that's what pays for the program is heads and beds.
Right.
So, but we want them to get out, go see our businesses, spend some time, take photos. We got a lot to offer in Lincoln and Logan County, and we just want to highlight that stuff.
Sure. Absolutely. Once again, our guest this hour, or half hour rather, is Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions or comments, or you can also email those, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. We'll go ahead and take our second break of the show, and we'll be back in 2 minutes with more with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCN Online. Back on the 4 p.m. 411 here on WLCN 96.3 FM. Once again, our guest, Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions of Mayor Welch about tourism or any other issues. You mentioned to me before we went on the air here that, of course, we had the announcement a few weeks ago, rather, about Lincoln Developmental Center and some movement with the grounds out there. So can you kind of update us on what the next step is with that and what's happening?
Yeah, so I've been speaking with Senator Turner about that, and the deputy governor, one of the deputy governors for the state of Illinois, has reached out to her. They want to be involved in a task force. I had mentioned this in a council meeting that we're going to be forming one. So I spent the last week or so reaching out, connecting with people, and we're going to get some meetings on the books to start having some conversations. The deputy governor wants to be involved in those meetings, which I think is a great thing. It's a huge sign that we're moving forward with this.
Right.
And so just more to come on that one. Don't know a lot of details, but the idea is that we're going to get together and we're going to start talking about possible uses of that property, and we'll come up with some suggestions, community engagement, council decision on what they want to do moving forward as well. So we'll have more details, I think, in the coming weeks.
Okay. And you mentioned community engagement, so there will be opportunity for community citizens to share thoughts, opinions, whatever they might want to share with you.
Yeah, I've already had some people reach out about some thoughts on what they think that property could be used for, and I think there's some good suggestions coming in, so we'll kind of kick those around and then see where the council wants to be on those topics when the task force actually gets put together, and we'll have some council involvement in that task force too.
All right, very good. We're getting down to the last 5 minutes of the show here. A couple events coming up in May. May is the opening day, I guess you could say, of the Third Fridays events in downtown Lincoln, and I know you sit on that committee as well. So May 16th, I believe, is the first one this time around.
Yep.
And so what do we have in store that you can share with us?
Well, it's the themes kicks on Route 66, and the committee felt that was a great opportunity to highlight Route 66. So much of the things that we've got used to with Third Fridays, we're going to bring back the bouncy houses and the bands, and you'll have food and vendors and things of that nature. So we're pretty excited about it. The first one usually always goes off pretty well, and then Nashville Nights comes behind that one. Right. Nashville Nights is usually the biggest one of the season. So just trying to leverage on the successes we've had and lean on those and have another great season.
Okay. And once again, those happen in May, June, and July.
Yes.
The August one was last year, the first time without the August one, I believe.
Yeah, I think when we got into August, it gets kind of hot, and we've had to cancel some of those in the past. So we felt May, June, and July was good, and then, we've done the movie nights in the park, right. And so we look forward to continuing to do that. We'll probably do a couple of those this year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And of course, August is when school starts, so you always. I think one time there was maybe a Third Fridays on a night of a football game or something.
There probably was.
Like that.
Well, and also we've tried them later in the season. It also starts to get dark earlier. True. And I think the Third Friday where we had to bring in a spotlight for people just to see the streets was probably the sign we needed to make an adjustment. So,
okay. Yeah. And then that is May 16th, the Third Fridays. Friday, of course, is followed by Saturday, and Saturdays. At least occasional Saturdays are Coffee with the Mayor days, and you've got another one of those lined up for May as well.
Yep, we do. Still conflicts with the cheap seats.
Well.
So, May 17th will be our next Coffee with the Mayor, and I'm going to bring Andrew Bounds, our wastewater superintendent, with us. Mm-hmm. I'll be selecting a council member to join us. Usually, if they're available, we'll ask them to partake. But last one was pretty big. 25 plus people, I think, showed up, which is pretty good turnout. Look forward to having that many, if not more. Talk about a wide variety of topics, whatever is on their mind, and then sometimes we talk about other city things that are hot topics.
Right.
Last one was really good. So we had the chief of police in, and he talked about community safety and things of that nature. So you never know what you get at one of those meetings. So join us.
Speaking of hot topics, and I'm catching you off guard with this because we didn't talk about it, but I did see something on social media, something about sewer rates that are changing. Have you any?
Yeah, there seems to be some confusion about that. So every year, our contract with Veolia has a increase based on the CPI, and we are going to have that discussion tonight. The CPI will make an adjustment to the contract rate, but your sewer rates will not go up as a result of this.
I see.
Yeah. So it's just a contractual thing that we have to pass by resolution with the council every year. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we covered a lot here. So once again, thanks for joining us here, Mayor Welch, and being so accommodating with your schedule. Once again, next week we'll have members of the some administrators from the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice talking about the Monarch Center that is opening, I guess, in a few months, I would guess. And tomorrow on Viewpoint, Dara Entwistle will have representatives from the Market on the Hill in Mount Pulaski. Viewpoint, of course, runs 8 a.m. to 8:30 on Wednesday mornings. So once again, Mayor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. And this is Loyd Kirby from WLCN, and we will talk to you again next week. This live video stream is made possible in part by WLCN's live stream technology sponsor, Me Realty, located at 602 Keokuk Street in Lincoln, and online at merealty.com. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.